Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Pawel Sobczyk, and we start now a Roundtable, Children Seeking Asylum. I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me and for the proposal to moderate this Roundtable. I would like to congratulate you on your excellent idea of this conference, and I would like to thank the speakers who are with me, that we can do something, I think, good for the child and for the protection of child. But first of all, I would like to introduce the participant in our roundtable. On my right hand is Silvia Majerčáková Albertová, assistant professor, Department of School and Organizational Psychology, Director, Center of Positive Psychology, Faculty of Psychology at University in Bratislava. Bartłomiej Oręziak is PhD, coordinator of Central of Analysis in the Institute of Justice in Warsaw. Peter Szőke is researcher at the Ferenc Medal Institute of Comparative Law. Formerly worked at the Foreign Ministry, the Ministry of Justice, and after that he accepted the invitation to join the Ferenc Medal Institute of Comparative Law. Main field of research is public law, especially Italian institution and legislation. Allora, buonasera. And with us is to Noémi Vígh, Karol Gaspari University of the Reformed Church in Hungary. She's working as a school psychologist and teaching university students about child welfare and children's rights. And with us is Roseann James. She's a student and volunteer. She came to Hungary with her parents and younger brother from Karachi, Pakistan, in March 2018. She has born in as a Catholic in a country where Christians make up less than 2% of population. So we are one international family, psychologists, lawyers, and student. My name is Pawel Sobczyk. I work at Faculty of Law and Administration at University of Opole and Institute of Justice in Warsaw. I am a lawyer too. My specialty is constitutional law and human rights. So I think this is the reason why I'm here. So we can start, but I would like to show you something for the beginning. It will be the motto of our discussion. I hope you know these two men. But the subject is very sad, I think, because we must talk about children seeking asylum. So I would like to start with your experience, Roseann James. Could you briefly tell your story of changing your place of life? What were the reasons for leaving Pakistan? What was the most difficult things for you when you came to Hungary, please?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Roseann James. I am from Karachi, Pakistan. I am a Christian. I am a Catholic in particular. Pakistan is apparently the 5th largest country in the world by population, and Christians in Pakistan only make up less than 2%, which is like a pinch of salt in 100 kilograms of flour. We arrived in Hungary in 2018 with my little brother. I was 14 at the time, my brother was 12. We left Pakistan because my parents wanted me and my brother to stay in our faith. My father has his degree in business administration and is associated with retail and food industry, and was associated as working as a manager. My mother has her master's in leadership from Australian Catholic University and is associated with teaching for over 25 years and recently worked as vice principal of a Catholic school in Pakistan. Besides having really good positions and a really good life, my parents chose to leave that life and come to Hungary and start all over again just because of me and my brother's sake. They wanted us to stay in our faith. Minorities changing faith is very, it's a thing that happens very often. Minorities changing faith is like turning pages of a calendar. It is very usual because of forced marriages, better jobs, better opportunities, or just to live in society with respect and love. There's one thing that is really strange in marriages. If a non-Muslim decides to marry a Muslim, that is celebrated if the non-Muslim changes faith. But if a Muslim decided to do so with the opposite, like marry a non-Muslim, that Muslim would have to run away just for the fear of losing his life, which is really strange, I think. And, well, my parents wanted us to stay in our faith, grow in our faith. Times are getting bad. Nothing's going to get better. We really hope so, but things don't seem to be getting better. They are getting worse day by day. And you know, as they say, no one puts their children in a boat unless water sounds safer than land. And that's what my parents did. So how we came to Hungary was my father wrote an email which somehow reached Dr. Szőke Péter, who is a man of kind personality with a matured age, but a very young mind, as he's always busy, or he's always keeping the youth engaged in activities, and he's always encouraging them to serve regardless of race, nationality, color. And thanks to him, even me and my brother have attended a lot of youth programs in Europe. Dr. Szőke Péter forwarded the email to Dr. Székely János, His Excellency Bishop Dr. Székely János, who is the County Bishop of Szombathely, who really happily accepted us and brought us here to Hungary. So he invited us. We are his guests. And we are really grateful for him because he's helped us a lot, really a lot, with jobs, with housing, with education, really everything. After coming to Hungary, we had two options. One, to sit at home and accept and live on aid from the local Caritas, or to go outside, work, and be dependent on our own, work on our two hands. And my father and mother have always taught me one thing. You've got two hands, you've got two legs, you're healthy. You can work on your own. And this is what they did. Besides having really high degrees and really good positions back home, they chose the lowest work, they chose the lowest jobs in a factory, and with the minimum salaries, just to show us also that such low jobs does not make you low in other people's eyes. It gives you respect sometimes. And I would really also like to thank the Hungarian people who have helped us a lot, really. There have been some really, really good people. There's just so many names I cannot mention right now. It's going to take me hours to do so. But in the beginning, there were some difficulties. There were a few negative experiences that we've had. And the negative experiences were mainly language barrier. This was the biggest thing. In Szombathely is not Budapest. Like, not many people speak English there. And there's also no bilingual schools. Well, there is one, but we didn't get into that one. And so education was also a really big issue. And then we also had cultural differences. And one of the issues, personal issues that I faced at school was skin color and discrimination against my skin color just because I'm a little bit darker than my classmates were. But I feel like it also depends on you, on how you take the situation. So like, let's say, I'll give you an example. Hot water, let's put hot water as problems here. If you put a potato in it, it gets soft. But if you put an egg, it gets hard. So it really depends on you and how you take the situation. And I'm really grateful to Hungary because I feel like not just socially, but educational integration has been a success. Because 2 years ago, I was really hopeless. Because I am a medical student, for those of you who do not know. And by the grace of Almighty God, I am studying in Central Europe's best medical university, Semmelweis University here in Budapest. And I'm really, really thankful to the people who have helped me and who are behind this, mainly to the Hungarian government, because a year ago, finance was an actual issue, and the Hungarian government has given me a scholarship, and thankfully to them, I'm able to study with a full scholarship here in Hungary. My brother is a very famous altar minister in Szombathely and has decided to become a priest. So the reason why we left everything in Pakistan was our faith, and now my brother is growing in it. So we're really thankful to that, and we're also really thankful to the Hungarian people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Roseann. So, Peter, what are the main causes of the refugees crisis in the modern world, especially in Europe? What is your opinion?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me to this round table. It's a funny thing because, you know, when I was a young lawyer at the time, among Central European people, German was the language. So my old professors were their second language was German. Now we have to speak English, which is a bit more difficult than German, but it's still easier than Latin would be. So it's okay. And just if I allow me to comment on Rosann's account, there is one particular element that strikes me in her story, which is that she at one point said, "I would like to serve this country as a doctor." She noticed that there are not very many doctors, so there is a shortage of medical personnel, and she decided to, not only for her own personal career, but also as a gesture to pay back for the chance that she's been given in this country. And so I'm very, very glad that you have invited her too. But I'm supposed to speak about the main causes of the refugee crisis and especially in Europe. So, well, I am convinced that the main cause, the root cause of all refugee crises is war. Right now, there are almost 30 theaters of war or open armed conflict in the world. And contemporary wars are never ending. So it is easy to start a war, but no one knows how to end it then. Pope John Paul II said in around 2003, when the Iraq war was about to break out, he was very much against it, you know, but he was not listened to, unfortunately. He said, "Look, war is like an adventure of no return. So you start, but then nobody knows how to end, how to end it." And there are several cases in point, like Afghanistan. In Afghanistan, there has been intermittent war since the Soviets invaded that country in 1979. So generations grow up without knowing peace. So children who grow up, they don't know what peace is. In Israel and Palestine, there has been no peace since 1948, when the new state of Israel was first attacked by some of its neighbors. And now look at what is going on. The Congo in Africa has been marred by armed conflicts, civil war, and ethnic conflicts for at least 2 decades now. And you can name several other regions where fighting is ongoing with no end in sight. Pope Francis, some years ago, took note of this, saying that World War III is actually already going on. Not in a coherent theater of war, but in chapters, in disconnected theaters of war. And but I also would like to tell you that I have been invited to this initiative not in my capacity as a lawyer or expert or a scholar, but I'm not much of a scholar, but as someone who has experienced being with refugee children, so I have some personal experience in this regard. The first time I met refugees in Moss was in 2015, when several 100,000 asylum seekers came to Hungary only to pass through the country because they were en route, most of them to Germany. It is well known that 1 million Syrians were then received by Germany. And I saw many families with many children in public spaces in Budapest, in parks, around railway stations. They were camping all over the place, you know. And with my friends, with the community of Sant'Egidio that I'm a member of, I used to bring them food, blankets, and talk to them, because refugees need, first of all, they need friendship. That's what they need. Structural help is unfortunately, of course, essential, but they need friends. Human interaction, human warmth and solidarity. And those refugees, most of them, left the impression with me that they were middle class. So middle class people coming from Afghanistan, from Syria. I in particular remember a professor of the law. He was, I think, the dean. He used to be the dean or a senior scholar at the Faculty of Law in Aleppo, Syria. I met him and his children on the Serbian-Croatian border, and I was, I said to myself, but this man could be myself, because if war broke out in my country, then I would probably flee myself. So it was a first-hand experience, and then the second impact was, of course, the war against the Ukraine, when Russia invaded last February, Ukraine. Then I went to the border to receive refugees, and I also, with my community, helped them here in Budapest. We ran a small housing program, and it was breaking my heart to see women arriving from Ukraine without men, because the men had to be enlisted. They were not allowed to leave the country. So strong and very dignified, beautiful women, young mothers, without men, with children, coming to Hungary, seeking refuge and also maybe a better life, a new start here. And so it is war that triggers these tragedies, and I think the first right that has to be respected, the first right of the child, is the right to peace.
Okay, thank you very much, Peter. So, Noémi, I think about this, and the question is, what can be the long-term consequences of such experiences, like seeking asylum, in the life of the children, especially?
Thank you for the question. I think it's essential for all of us to think about that. Yesterday, when I was thinking about this round table, I was like, there was a moment in my mind when it turned that somehow the first idea about refugee children or children in asylum seems to be something really far that is not in my district, not next to my home. So it's about some people that I don't really know. And when I realized that, okay, but I will know them, they will be around, so it is really something that is that has an effect on me, on my life, on us, on our life, what happens to these children, because if I can refer back to your statement that these children don't know peace, that's somehow the root of many difficulties that will follow up. That if I grow up without knowing peace, then somehow my inner mental state won't know peace, and all medical, mental health issues can be consequences of growing up like that. If you don't get to know peace, you don't get to grow up or have an experience of a stable environment or stable home, then criminalism, health issues, addictions can all come from this very early experiences. And if children stay in the areas where they live in war, that's a very easy way to recreate war. Children having aggression and unstable inner life, that's recreating the problem. And if they turn into refugees, and they don't get real shelter. They don't get, as you said, some friends, some people that are helping them and recreating their safe environment and stability. Then they will have that instability in their life for very long. Maybe that would be the most important consequences, this instability in many levels.
Thank you. So Silvia, you're a psychologist, so why is the need to belong one of the basic human needs? And how does it matter for children seeking asylum?
Thank you for your question. Well, from a psychological perspective, the need to belong is one of those psychological needs that needs to be fulfilled in order to live a good life, to feel well, to do well in life. It means not only to be taken care of in terms of food or attention, but it also means to connect, to get affection, to trust to the other person. And for children, this need is of particular importance because when a child is born, this is the crucial need that a child could not survive without a caretaker, without a mother. So for children, this need is the one that's there from the very beginning. And if we are talking about children in asylum, it is very important to distinguish whether we talk about children who are accompanied by their families or are unaccompanied. So, for instance, when the war in Ukraine broke, there were many children coming to my country, to Slovakia, that were alone, without their parents. So this is the worst situation that can happen to a child. The need to belong is broken. Yet it is alone in a different country, with a different language. Of course, these children were getting instant support, instant attention from professionals, but still the need to belong to the family, to the mother, to the father is the one that builds safety in a child. So for children who are accompanied by their families, they have this need fulfilled. They are with their parents. But still, it depends on the consequences, on the situation they are facing, whether they're coming to a safe place or whether they're struggling, whether they are getting support, whether their rights are met or not. Then the second level is the social support, the social network. We are human beings, so we really thrive in connecting to others, also outside of the family, having friends, having peers, having a community that accepts us. So for children, when they come to a foreign country and they join the school, like it was said from your experience, it is those hard days, weeks, when they don't understand, when it's hard for them to join in the class, when it's hard for them to understand what's going on. And in this time, it is very important to get the support, for instance, from teachers or from health professionals or from psychologists to help the transition, to build in school environment, we call it school belongingness, or sense of belonging to school, which is very, very important, because if the child is excluded in a classroom on a daily basis, it can have really long-term consequences in mental health. Either gets really withdrawn, anxious, so hides the emotions inside, or demonstrates what's going on outside with behavior problems, aggression, and so on.
Thank you. So I think we have 3 points. Children seeking asylum, family, society. Yeah? And now I would like to ask you, Noémi, why are we not only responsible for them, for the children, as a society, but we have our own interest in supporting the children in seeking asylum, seeking in difficult situation.
Sorry, can you repeat the middle part of the question?
Why are we not only responsible for children as a society, but we have our own interest in supporting these children?
Well, I think that we as individuals will meet the consequences. We meet the consequences of living in a world with war. We meet the consequences of our stability of our society. So I think that there is a lot of talking and social debate about if our society is safe enough, how we can handle migration and civil safety. And I think that if we help these children that are coming here grow up in stability and in belonging to social groups, that can make sure that they will feel that they can, I don't know, serve this country as a doctor, that they belong here, that they have a place, they have their inner stability. So we won't face as individuals the problems caused by this, by migration, but the fact that we can sit together in a round table and talk about what's happening. So I think as individuals we are really we meet individuals that are coming from this background, and that might be the reason, I think, if I answered your question.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Noémi. So I would like to come back to your experience, Peter. Can we say that the children are the main victims of refugee crisis, of contemporary wars?
I think yes, we can. I have just. I think statistics speak for themselves. Before I came here, I consulted the website of UNICEF, and I found that currently there are 468 million children worldwide living in armed conflict zones. And this is about 20% of the world's 2.4 billion children population. And which means that 1 out of every 5th child, 1 out of 5, live within armed conflict zones. And just, we cited Gaza and Israel. On October 7th, the terrorists murdered many children, civilians. Their target was not the military, but the civilian population of southern Israel. And the statistically, almost half of the victims of the retaliation of the war that broke out in the Gaza Strip, against the Gaza Strip, are children. So it's you can look at all the theaters of war, from the Ukraine through Afghanistan, Yemen, Syria, Myanmar, Haiti, Sudan, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, the Congo, Somalia. All over the place is children. They cannot do anything on their own. They cannot even escape without the help of the grown-ups. And so in 2022, the global figure of children killed or maimed was 8,063. This is an estimate, of course. And so it is an immense tragedy. And another fact is that 36.5 million children were displaced in 2021. And we can also mention, of course, climate disasters, natural disasters that caused the displacement of another 7.3 million children. I don't know if you've heard about a very touching event, a recent event. Pope Francis met 7,500 children. He received them at the Vatican. It was in November, and it was very moving because there were children from all over the world, from Pakistan as well, and very touching and very honest, very simple questions they asked the Pope. And one Syrian boy asked him, Pope Francis, why is it that during wars they kill children and nobody defends them? And the Pope almost remained speechless. He didn't try to give an explanation. He said war is a cruel thing, and then he asked all those present to remain silent in silence for a minute. Children don't know peace, those who grew up with the war. We in the West, we in the North don't know what war is. They don't know what peace is. We don't know what war is, unfortunately. And this causes a lot of problems. So this is an explanation for the very irresponsible speech that we can hear about war, you know. And children should be listened to. So we have to treat them because of their traumas. We have to help them, but we have also, I think, to listen to them. Listen to their voices because they know instinctively what the difference between war and peace is. And those children that were asking questions, the Pope were very clear about this. They want peace. They want to be brothers and sisters. They want to be friends. Children, you know, I have two children. I know what they are like. They quarrel easily. They fight easily, but they make peace immediately after, so very easily.
Thank you very much. When we think about children, I think we think about school, health, education in general. So, Bartłomiej, question about problems or difficulties in accessing education for refugee children in practice. You know something about this? Could you tell us about these problems, difficulties?
Yeah. So thank you very much, dear professor, for a question. I think that the issues concerning the right to education is quite important, and we can discuss it during our discussion. So in my opinion, even the right to education was one of the most important children's rights. Of course, not only for children, but especially for children. And to educate in education, exercise their intelligence. And as I'm a lawyer during this discussion, I don't want to present you some legal basis or consideration like during the lecture, but I have to say that the most of the modern countries in their constitutions, they have provisions provided for right to education. For example, I am from Poland, so I can say that Article 70 of the Polish Constitution, and as we are in the Budapest, the Article 11 of the Fundamental Law in Hungary, in a section Freedoms and Responsibilities. And in my opinion, it is even impossible not to mention here the UN Convention of the Children's Rights and Article 28. But the question concerning the practice, the difficulties, obstacles of the realization and implementation of the right to education. And in this scope, I have in my mind two reports, two research reports. One is from the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, and the second is from Fundamental Rights Agency from the European Union. And considering both these reports, I can see that there are some difficulties, but I believe that this is some kind of a border cases, as we live in Europe, within the European Union, so the level of the realization, implementation of the right to education is, I will say, that satisfactory level. But in these border cases, these reports underline that there are some problems, for example, with a lack of spaces with schools, especially insufficient number of teachers to assistant to special assistant that children seeking asylum may require. The pure relicant of the schools for foreign students, but not only from the schools, but what is crucial from children's and parents of these children's. The problem was also that many schools in host countries, would like and prefer admit students only on the beginning of the academic year. And of course, last but not least, there is a problem with language barriers. But what was for me crucial during this, within this report, if I could remember, it was in UN report, there was a direct conversation with children. And children complained on the realization of the right to education mostly on two cases. The first case was about that they are placed in special classes for foreign students only, and they complained that the educational level in these classes are in a lower level, so they would like to and prefer to be a member of the normal classes despite the language barriers. But what is significant here and interesting, the children in the second case, in fact, the majority of the children, the most of them, said that they hadn't any information about educational opportunities in host countries. So they said that they didn't know on what stage of asylum procedure they can go to the school. So such basic information, in my opinion, was a lack of that. And what it means from the legal point of view, I think that this is the difference between the lex and use in Roman, that legal guarantees without good, appropriate and wise practice, without working procedural provisions, without executive provisions, without these persons on the front line, without the wise decision makers, is only the paper. And the aim for the cases like this, that we have the children seeking asylum, should be that the practice, the good practice of the law, should carry on also on this, I will say, difficulties, even if it is only in border cases. So thank you.
Thank you very much. So first step is education. I think the second, or maybe the first, is health of child seeking asylum, maybe only mental health. What do you think about this, Silvia? What are the challenges for children seeking asylum in terms of mental health?
In this topic, we also have to distinguish whether the child comes alone or with a family. Obviously, if the child is alone, she can face more severe consequences, mental health consequences. But generally speaking, it is also important to consider which countries they come from. The children who come from countries where they were exposed to war, to violence, to aggression, and they experienced it firsthand, face, again, more severe consequences. So specifically speaking, I looked up some statistics, and almost, or up to 50% of children in asylum experience some symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder, which is a disorder that is caused by severe trauma. and is manifested in either in behavioral problems, emotional problems, intrusive thoughts. In small children, it's manifested through aggressive play towards others. Then the other areas of mental health problems are really high prevalence of depression and anxiety. The statistics tell us it's up to 30% prevalence, whereas in general population, it's in single-digit numbers. You have 5%, 7%, depending on the population. However, it is also important to note that many of these symptoms are temporary. So the children, they can struggle with these symptoms for a certain period of time, maybe the transition, maybe some first months. And many of these children, they recover, they just the symptoms go away. And then there is a group of children who recover, but are maybe genetically predisposed to some sort of problems. So maybe these symptoms recur again at a later point when they're exposed to a stressful event. And there is a small group of children who don't get well. And there are many reasons for that. Maybe their family situation is not stable. Maybe they are struggling with some other severe situations. So this is good news that when we are talking about mental health, that many children are sort of able to bounce back from mental health issues. We have seen that also during COVID. During COVID, many children experienced anxiety and depression, and after they returned to schools, after several weeks and months, they got back to normal, that the symptoms just went away. And we call this in psychology resilience, which is our ability to face adversity, to face difficult situations. So what the research is showing us that although the group of children that is showing symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder is struggling, they still have high levels of resilience, which are protective. And we also have to consider the protective factors from the environment, or the already mentioned social support. This is very, very important, whether they're getting social support from family, from community, in school, and from the people around them.
Thank you very much. We have in our round table 2 psychologists and 3 lawyers. So now I think we can look from this person. The future physician, yes. The future physician, yes. So we lawyers, we talk about the best interest of the child. So Bartłomiej, I would like to ask you, how is the concept of the best interest of the child used or understood in practice?
So, as previously, thank you very much for this question. Yes, this is in fact a very important issue in legal theory, but also in legal practice, because probably I will have some case law of the Court of Justice of European Union in my mind. The first judgment concerning the interpretation of the best interest of the child, if I could remember, is the Etet Belgier case from 2021, so the summer recant case. It was concerning the interpretation of the best interest of the child in practice. So this case, as a majority of the cases from the Court of Justice of the European Union, was based on the periodical procedure under Article 267 of the Treaty of the Functioning of the European Union. So there was a question from the National Court, and it was a quite complicated legal consideration because the court asked if Article 5 of the directive, it is in some cases famous directive 2008/115, with connection with the appeal procedures within this directive, in connection with the Charter of the Fundamental Rights of the European Union especially, the best interest of the child, the children's right, and the right to effective court remedy, and the right to access to impartial court. All this, if it means if member states are obliged to duly consider the best interest of the child before issuing a decision. It was a return decision, even if the addressee of this decision is not a children, but his father or maybe mother. In this case, was a father. So the Court of Justice of the European Union, very briefly I will say, that Stay with the Children, said that the best interest of the children, the child, should be understood and interpreted widely as concerning also the decision which has a serious consequences to this child. And in my opinion, of course, this is only my opinion, the decision concerning the parent of the child is obviously with serious consequences of the child. Of course, if this parent have a good relationship with this child. And the Court of Justice said that Article 5, from Article 5, it does not imply that when issuing the return decision concerning the children, concerning the best interest of the child, the court should only consider the best interest of the child when the addressee of this decision is the children, excluding the parents or any other persons. And what is very important from this court, I will also say that in some part of this judgment, court also emphasized that such serious consequences is or are like violating children equilibrium. So that was the first decision of the Court of Justice of the European Union. I have also the second. It is from 2018, the Belgian case. In this case, the circumstances and the legal argumentation are the same, so I don't want to present it because it is exactly the same. It is also concerning the return decision, but why I'm talking about this is that there is a potential judicial line here, yes, because the Court of Justice of the European Union said something in 2018 and repeated in 2021. So maybe we see in some reasons, in some level, the building of the potential judicial line. And the third last cases was a little different because it was a Vinches-Chavez case from 2016. And this case was concerning, ladies and gentlemen, the residential rights to the parent that are non-EU citizen. And in this case, the children was a EU citizen, and the mother also was a EU citizen. So the argumentation was very similar here, that the decision concerning the rights, residential rights, has to be issued in taking account the best interest of the child, even if the decision is if the addressee of this decision is not the child, but it has serious consequences to this child. So the argumentation was very similar, but the court said something crucial, one more crucial. And at the end, I will also underline this, that the fact that one of the parents is able to take care day to day on a child, it is a significant fact. We are talking about this EU citizenship, a citizen parent, but is insufficient to legitimate decision issuing the decision ordering or in fact reacting the residential right to the second parent, because it doesn't mean that there is no such a great relationship between the second parent and the child, that if some authorities will issue the decision of the reaction of the residential rights, that child will be in fact forced to leave the territory of the European Union with the second parent and the first parent also. So, ladies and gentlemen, what it means, in my opinion, it shows some tendency towards to wide interpretation of the best interest of the child in these cases. This is all for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bartłomiej. Ladies and gentlemen, dear speakers, we talk about life, psychology, and law, and I would like to finish from the theology, because we are in Sapientia. This is the very special place. So I think the best conclusion of our discussion would be small part of Matthew 25.35. Then the king will tell them on his right hand, "Come, blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you give me food to eat. I was thirsty, and you give me drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in. Naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me." Thank you very, very much.